Bill O'Reilly here, Wednesday, March 10th, 2021. You are listening to the O'Reilly Update. Here's what's happening today in America. New polls show race relations at an all-time low. Twitter suing the state of Texas. Disney's Dumbo, the latest victim of cancel culture. More states ease COVID restrictions. American air travel down 70% compared to this time last spring. Also ahead, are you a socialist? But first, survey from Gallup says race relations in the USA are at historic lows. Less than half of American adults believe relationships between whites and blacks are good. 55% say they're bad or very bad. These are the worst statistics since Gallup began taking the monthly survey 20 years ago. Twitter filing a lawsuit against Texas Attorney General Ken Paxton. Company says the Lone Star Republican launched an illegal investigation into the social network as retribution for banning Donald Trump. Paxton says the probe is necessary to determine whether executives at Twitter are intentionally silencing conservative voices. Disney removing a handful of movies from its streaming service for children, including Dumbo and Peter Pan. According to Disney, both films portray negative stereotypes of Black and Native Americans and should no longer be watched by kids under the age of 7. The cartoons can still be viewed, but only from a parent's account. Maryland, Massachusetts, Connecticut, the latest states to ease COVID rules. Businesses can begin serving customers at restaurants, movie theaters, concert halls, and gyms with reduced capacity. But 25% of us have received at least one vax so far. Shots should be available to all adults by the end of May. U.S. airline industry struggling to lure back flyers during the upcoming spring break. Travel down 70% compared to last March. Polls show a majority of Americans still refuse to fly until they are fully vaxxed. Health experts estimate the odds of contracting the virus on a plane, 1 in 15,000. In a moment, some Americans say they want socialism. Why? Right back with that. Attention savvy investors, Bill O'Reilly here. Want predictable monthly cash flow? Is a 10% annualized immediate monthly payout good for starters? How about bonuses targeted to 21%? If you want the safety and security of a real estate investment, but without the hassles of being a landlord, you have probably heard of NRIA. NRIA is an industry-leading real estate development firm now in its 15th year, developing strategically located, low-risk, high-demand neighborhoods based on supply-demand imbalance. They are a great fit for safety-oriented investors who want cash flow and diversification into carefully chosen real estate. Learn more about NRIA Real Estate Development Fund at nria.net, or please call 800-800-1414. That's 800-800-1414.
An offer of securities is only made by the NRIA Private Placement Memorandum. Read it first. Past performance does not guarantee future results. NRIA is a real estate development firm. Learn more at nria.net.
Time now for the O'Reilly Update message of the day: socialism. That's when the federal government has the power to tell us what we can have in life. Now, I've worked ever since I'm 10 years old. I saved my money. I worked very hard. I succeeded. I really don't want a central force on this planet to come in and take my stuff. I don't want them to tell me how much money I can make, how much money I can keep, what kind of things I can possess. My question, why would anyone want that? Well, according to Gallup, 43% of Americans now believe that socialism would be good for the USA, a 72% increase since 1942. Now, I believe those who favor socialism either don't want to work hard to compete in the marketplace, or simply do not understand what socialism really is. So let's take a trip. First stop, Venezuela, where the government in Caracas takes about 70% of what Venezuelans earn. That has led to an economic collapse. In communist Cuba, a step up from socialism, most citizens don't pay any income tax. Instead, all of their money comes from the government, direct payments. And the average is about $30 a day. If a citizen in Cuba does manage to make a little private money and the government finds out about it, Havana comes in for half. Over to Europe, where many countries practice democratic socialism. That's what Bernie Sanders likes. Sweden has a 40% income tax plus 25% value-added tax on most things that people buy. So you add it up, that's a 65% tax. In Germany, 42% income tax, 19% value-added tax. Austria, 47% income tax, 22% value-added tax. Netherlands, 30% flat tax, 21% value-added. So in these countries, people cannot accumulate money. They can't save money. You want to buy a little chalet in the Alps? You can't save up. You'll never be able to do it because the government is in for between 50 and 70% of all your money. Some European countries even have a wealth tax where the central government shows up at your house, evaluates everything you have, and then takes 2% or 1% or whatever every year of your stuff. That's what the progressives in America want. That is outright seizure of private property, and that is the hallmark of communism and socialism. Will socialism ever be passed in the USA? I do not think so. It is unconstitutional, and I think most people are going to wise up that this is very destructive. I'm Bill O'Reilly, and I approve the message by writing it. For more honest news analysis, please go to BillO'Reilly.com. In a moment, something you might not know. This year marks 20 years since America's darkest day, September 11, 2001, and the Untitled Towers Foundation has been supporting America's frontline heroes ever since. When a first responder or military service member doesn't come home and young children are left behind, Tunnel to Towers pays off the mortgage to lift the financial burden for the family and bring their families some stability. For catastrophically injured vets and first responders, Tunnel to Towers builds mortgage-free smart homes, enabling our most severely injured heroes to live more independent lives. Our nation's heroes, people who are willing to die for us, need your help. So please don't wait. Join Tunnel to Towers on their mission to do good and help those heroes. Please donate $11 a month at T2T.org. That's T2T.org. Now the O'Reilly Update brings you something you might not know. 41 years ago this week, the U.S. Army released a scathing report about one of the most horrific incidents of violence ever perpetrated against unarmed civilians by American forces, and that happened during the Vietnam War. Dozens of officers would face charges for covering up a mass killing near a tiny village in the jungles of Southeast Asia. The event will be remembered as the My Lai Massacre. In March 1968, Charlie Company, part of the 11th Infantry Brigade, received word that Viet Cong guerrillas had taken control of a nearby river. They were deployed for a search-and-destroy mission to trap the Viet Cong. When U.S. forces arrived shortly after dawn, the troops found no enemy soldiers. Instead, they came across a quiet village of primarily women, children, and older men preparing their breakfast rice. After finding a few weapons, some officers ordered their men to begin shooting the villagers. The company brutally killed more than 500 people. Many were mutilated and burned. Huts set afire, and anyone inside who tried to escape was gunned down. Not a single shot was fired against the U.S. soldiers. Among the victims, 182 women, 17 of them pregnant, 173 children, including 56 infants. Army officers then tried to cover up the carnage and succeeded for a year before it was eventually reported in the American press. The revelation marked the end of America's positive image around the world. This country was dealt a severe blow. Bowing to public pressure, the Pentagon finally ordered a special investigation into the massacre. The inquiry released its report in March 1970 and recommended that 28 American officers be charged for their involvement in covering up the massacre. The trial began on November 17, 1970. And here's something else you might not know. Just 14 men would be charged in the My Lai massacre, all of them acquitted, except one officer, Lieutenant William Calley. He would serve 10 years in prison for premeditated murder. A shameful episode, no doubt, caused by a chaotic Vietnam War policy. Back after this. Jeff Brown of Brownstone Research and his team have been at the forefront of nearly every major market move of the last 35 years. In 1987, they foresaw the famous Black Monday stock crash. They called the first dot-com boom. They predicted the housing crisis, the crypto crash. And early last year, when not a single analyst foresaw a downturn in stocks, they told Americans to get ready for a big pullback. And now, what they're predicting next will likely come as a shock to many of us. Jeff Brown believes we're on the cusp of something we haven't seen in 20 years, where fortunes will be made and lost over the next few months. If you have money invested in the stock market, but are confused as what to do next, or if you've been debating getting back in as tech stocks seem to be making new highs, this is an interview you have to see. Please go to bill5g.com right now. That's bill5g.com. Thank you for listening to the O'Reilly Update. I am Bill O'Reilly. No spin, just facts, and always looking out for you.